Oh, it's a great Sunday evening on our prime lineup here on KOFO 1220, 103.7 FM. Your home and away voice of our Kansas City Royals, your country music giant on the East Central Plains of Kansas here. And you can always listen live on KOFO.com as well as grab the podcast for this show. You're listening to Boomer Takes from Pete and Jake, just two guys. Yours truly, John Jacobson, your friendly KOFO radio guy, and Dr. Peter W. Tinsman, MD. No advice this show, just ruminations. Two friends who are grandpas, and we're not get off our lawn, grumpy old men just yet, but we will give some great boomer takes. We're part of that great boomer generation that still commands enormous demographics in radio and television. Welcome in Franklin, Anderson, Lynn, Miami, Osage, Johnson, and Douglas counties, from Lawrence, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, the Kansas City Metro to our capital in Topeka, as well as all of you listening in Williamsburg and Wellsville, in Gardner, in Garnett, in Osage and Osawatomie, in Princeton and Paola. Of course, the signal caroming from here in beautiful Ottawa. Pete, welcome back to the show.
Well, John, it's great to be back. It's great to be back. A little hiatus for a couple of weeks.
Yep, we ran a best of, and we've both been very busy with family issues involving seniors. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Pete, let's start out a little bit lighthearted here. Hey, it's summertime. For our mental health, for our physical health, we need to recreate. And the first thing I think of is I notice I am in such a better mood if I am outdoors under sunlight than if I am indoors. And the sooner I can catch that vitamin D.
How about rays of sunlight?
Rays of sunlight, Dr. Pete, that just, I don't know, it must activate endorphins. It must give me dopamine. I don't know what it does.
It helps with your circadian rhythm, getting out first thing in the morning or getting that early morning sunlight.
So talk
very
about,
good.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you tee it up. I want you to talk about circadian rhythm. This is perfect what you just did. Talk about circadian rhythm, grounding, sunlight is vitamin D, why we do better outdoors, walking with your bare feet on the lawn.
John, I sleep with a grounding mat.
So we're opening this convo up. How to stay physically and mentally happier this summer.
Let's just put it this way. I think in the summertime, I love this time of year. Matter of fact, this is time now when I'm going to start getting depressed because it is June 7th and somebody happens to be 65 years old today.
Happy birthday. You're on my,
Thank you.
I know this. And welcome to the club. I was there just a few months ago, and it's what I found is time for that 65-year-old physical, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's now I'm thinking back to the days when I thought all my parents do is go to the doctor, and I've seen my GP, my ear, my dental, my ENT, which is different from the guy who flushed my ears, my oh my goodness, my dermatologist. Pete, I've seen everybody. And I think I'm at 7 or 8 doctors here. Now, preventive health is huge because I also consult with my urologist and my, what's the gastrointestinal guy called who just did my colonoscopy?
Gastroenterologist.
All right. Well, he's my best friend of all because that's a really great preventive way to try to avoid cancers. So, Pete, we're at that age now. Now, you are a doctor, but it's like I say as a lawyer, I should never be my own client. You use other physicians, even though you are a physician, right?
Yeah, I have my internist, but that's all I have. I don't.
Wow.
Well, and actually, no, I can't say that because I have a dermatologist because I get basal cell carcinomas carved off my skin. Like I had one on my left lower eyelid.
But that looks good. I don't think you need the plastic surgeon. I think you can avoid the plastic surgeon.
We'll see how it heals in 6 months to a year. But You know what? If a little scar underneath my eye,
right.
I don't know if that's going to really affect women being attracted to me.
Oh, they think scars are sexy, man.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess Heather doesn't even pay attention to it. So, but No, but but this time of the year, the summer,
I love summer.
I
love it. I love the summer playlist at the pool. I don't have a pool, but I'll go to a pool and play my playlist.
I wake up at 4:30.
Woo!
And it's, when I wake up at 4, and not that I'm trying to wake up, I just do. It's starting to get light out. The other day I was out of bed at 4:34 and starting to do stuff outside. And it was like, I love this time of year. I absolutely love it.
I do too.
What disappoints me is that come June 21 or 22, whenever the summer solstice is, and the days start getting shorter again.
Deb notices I always go into this funk, and she just thinks I'm nuts for talking about, now the inexorable slide toward winter begins. The days get shorter. And that's why I'm really pumped every December 21. I'm always pumped because, all right, winter's over.
Well, and that's it. It's like,
and a minute of extra daylight a day. Chop, chop,
I love it. I mean, I love this time of year. I absolutely love it. Do you think
we should keep daylight savings time year round? I would love that because it would be lighter and later forever.
Or
at least quit changing back and forth. That just bothers me.
Actually, I think the key
doesn't kill me, but it bothers me to move back and forth.
What I told my wife in moving back and forth, what we ought to be doing is, we're in the northern hemisphere. From March 21 to September 21, and then on September 21st, we hop on a plane and we move to our home down in southern Argentina.
Yes.
And we spend 6 months in Argentina. That would be ideal. Or go down to Cape Town.
Be a gaucho, put a poncho on, and never get too cold. It'll be great, man. Out in the Andes. Yeah. You won't even be chilly in Chile.
Oh, jeez. Okay, we're gonna. Yeah, edit that out. But no, I love it. Summer's great. All the wonderful things to do in the summer. When I was growing up as a kid, we always, my grandparents built a house on a lake up in Wisconsin, and it's still in the family.
So halcyonic memories of those summers as a kid, I'll bet. Halcyonic memories.
Just loved it, and the lake's gorgeous, and spent every summer of my life there.
Cool. Very, very cool. I've always loved being around the water, and yet I always throw this caution out. I've had friends who've drowned. I mean, it's just, I think the single greatest gift, I'm not joking about this, Pete, the single greatest gift a parent could give to children for their future safety is to teach them how to swim. I honestly believe that.
Well, there's a lot of places. John Maverick, my son, who's got a 7-month-old, lives in Chicago. They are getting ready to enroll their son in swimming classes.
I've heard about this. Yes.
So these kids, they come up, they learn how to, crazy, but absolutely. It is so important. It is so important. So important. And my wife always talks about Bodie Miller, the downhill skier.
Yes.
Who lost a child, a 19-month-old, fell in the pool.
Jack Nicklaus lost a grandson that way. I've had friends get taken away in riptides.
Have you really?
Walking on a beach and getting swept out by riptides.
What's the key if you get caught? What's the key if you get caught in a riptide?
I've heard don't swim against it. You got to swim. Is it diagonally? They tell you to.
You swim parallel to the beach.
Okay, so not diagonally, not diagonally, but parallel to the beach. Is that what you're telling me?
Parallel to the beach, so you don't get tired. Yes, and you're going to continue being pushed out, but you're just going off the side. And supposedly the riptide, this current that's pulling you out, typically it's only about 30 feet wide total. 30 or 40 feet wide. And so all you got to do is swim, at the most, let's say 30 feet to get out of it. And then once you're out of it, you're not being pushed anymore. Then you swim into shore. But people, they struggle. They swim against that current, and they get exhausted and they drown.
I also have had...
Not too many riptides in Kansas.
No, but, it's boating accidents, Pete. I've had some clients... that were widows from boating accidents, just recreational boating on a lake. And so, I think that if you've got a boat, get it Coast Guard certified. The Coast Guard Auxiliary does these great certifications. There's a tremendous Coast Guard Auxiliary unit There are several in Kansas. The Kansas City group is magnificent. They do boat safety inspections all the time. Swim lessons are given routinely. Ottawa Recreation Commission here, where we just did that nice remote. Sean Torres, our engineer, and I were there a week ago. They have a great swimming lesson program. I think it's so important. So Pete, the juxtaposition. So I can't live without the sun, but I too have skin that is very prone to being a concern about later development of skin cancer because I'm Nordic by genetics, and I've already had what they call dysplastic nevi removed. That means moles that could become cancerous if you don't take them off. Talk about how do you thread that needle? You want to get in the sun, but you don't want to get a bad burn. What do you use? Lotion, oil, hats? What do you do, Pete? Give us some ideas.
Well, as my dermatologist, I've had 9 basal cell carcinomas cut off since 2010, and basal cells typically they don't metastasize and they're pretty easy to take care of. But my dermatologist says this is all because of sun damage that occurred when I was a teenager and in my 20s. And I said, well, I rarely ever burned. I've got darker skin. And like, it's genetics.
Wow.
It's genetics. And so, but yeah, I mean, I'm, blue-eyed, people with blue eyes a little bit more. You get that Scandinavian sort of stuff. You're just more prone to it. And, but I wear outside working all the time. I wear a wide-brimmed hat. I put sunblock on, and I grow, as I say to my dermatologist, I grow skin cancers the way an Iowa farmer grows corn.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
What about sunblock? What is there an SPF level? Is that still a thing?
I use an SPF. I use an SPF 45.
Okay.
And so how much is it? How much good is it doing? Hell, I don't know. But I mean, because the problem is the damage, as they say, it was done back 40 years ago.
Well, you know what I've noticed? People that had landmark beautiful tans when they were teens and 20s. I'm talking beautiful people. Now, in their 60s and 70s, the skin looks a little weather-beaten, leathery, wrinkled. Is that a fair statement that sun can do that later in life?
I think that's a fair statement. My daughter-in-law, she has red hair, green eyes, and pale skin, Irish descent. And she's never in the sun. When she's in the sun, she's covered up because she burns really easy. Yeah. She's going to have beautiful skin by the time she's 60 years old.
My wife is largely Irish ancestry. Deb has always been. I tell her she has kind of that... well, she's got the Caitlin Clark complexion. It's alabaster, creamy. She's always had very Irish skin tone, and there's not a wrinkle on her body. It's amazing. But she has stayed out of the sun. She's been vociferous about staying out of the sun, and she has, it's almost virginal skin quality, but that's because she's really been...
She's never gone out. She's really stayed
But that would have been a tough complexion to navigate had she really, been out with it. But her skin tone is not aged at all. And I think of, I don't want to pick nits, but some of the Kennedy family members, Eunice Kennedy Shriver and her daughter Maria Shriver. I mean, oh my goodness, they are the sun has not been kind to them as they have aged. I'll just put it that way.
No. And I think, and going back to the original question, what about sunlight and how much?
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, midday, 20, 30 minutes for vitamin D and stuff, and that's enough to kind of set your body the way that it should. So
if I walk on campus early in the morning, I'm in a much better mood. You can call that placebo or what. I think it's palpable. If I get some sun on me, and it's different even than if I'm walking on a treadmill inside a gym or a house. It's better if I'm outdoors walking with a headset on, listening to music, man.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it's So
you're listening to Boomer Takes with Pete and Jake, Dr. Peter W. Tinsman, MD. Yours truly, John Jacobson. Sundays in Kansas, we have the most beautiful sunsets in Kansas.
Speaking of that, did you all have Northern Lights at all on Thursday night?
Not really, no, sadly. We're so
was-
far south here. Iowa,
Well-
my Iowa friends up by Sioux City have really had some really good stuff happening up
Well,
there.
there was forecast to be Northern Lights,
Yep.
and it was cloudy
Yep.
up here, and so I didn't see them on Thursday night. They said there you could have seen them as far south as Texas.
Wow. We didn't have that here. Okay, so you gave me the opening. I'm going to go there. As the biggest fan of NASA and the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs growing up as a kid in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where Collins Radio was making all of the radio and communications equipment for the entire space program. As a kid whose favorite show is still the original Star Trek series with Shatner, Nimoy, Kelly, Doohan, Koenig, Nichols, and who did I miss? Did I say Walter Koenig,
not a fan.
George Takei, Nichelle Nichols, Jimmy Doohan, DeForest Kelly, Leonard Nimoy, William Shatner. You know, Pete, I want to go up either to the Ticonderoga, New York replicated set where Shatner's going to be up there with, believe it or not, some of his female co-stars are going to be up there. Barbara Luna, who was his captain's woman in the Evil Universe in the Mirror Mirror episode, is still alive at like 88 or 89. She's going to be up there. The woman who played Raina Kapik, the android woman who James C. Kirk and James Daly fought over. James Daly was the guy from Medical Center, the old white-haired man they were arguing
Oh,
over.
that guy, yeah.
She was also a soap opera star. She is still alive and well, has been up there to Ticonderoga, New York. There are some others that are there. So, but the other big thing is the 60th anniversary for Trek. They're having a huge Las Vegas thing with all of the 60 years casts from the various series coming back, from Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Enterprise, and what am I missing for series? Voyager, of course, with Kate Mulgrew from Dubuque, Iowa. Kate Mulgrew, our Iowa girl, about our age.
Yeah, I know Kate Mulgrew. I've met her.
Seriously, Captain Janeway. So there you have it.
Yeah, her. Yeah.
So here's my segue.
I was never a Star Trek fan.
Yeah. It's my life.
It was okay. It didn't float my boat a lot.
It's my life. You know, Shatner's my hero. And listen, so here's my segue. So one of the reasons I love Donald Trump is his disclosure and his transparency. And I know the Kennedy family appreciates it as he's releasing the JFK files, and a lot of stuff in there that makes you think, wow. And now the UAP, the UFO, there's so many different acronyms, but Pete, you and I grew up in an era of, Art Bell interviewing guys at night near Area 51, and the sci-fi movies about UFOs and extraterrestrials. It could be Scary from the Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man. It could be something where The Day the Earth Stood Still, that classic movie with Rennie and Patricia Neal. Or it could be E.T., where it was a kinder, friendlier alien. What about what about these releases that are coming out in the press? Kind of cool.
John, I just want to see something. Just show me something for real. Nothing is. To me, it's a lot of lip service. Oh, I know. This thing I was flying and da 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 da.
No. It's worse.
Here's the picture I saw.
It's always two fishermen at 2 a.m. after drinking a case of beer in a swamp in a bayou in Louisiana that get visited. That's what bothers me. These aren't always witnesses that we'd want to admit in testimony as a lawyer. These wouldn't be my ace witnesses.
John, I look at the UFOs and I'll believe it when I see it. It's kind of the same way when they're talking about people in power in our country, crooked politicians. Oh, they did this, and they're going to get in trouble, and we're going to go after them, and nobody ever's prosecuted. Nobody ever goes to jail.
Pete, it's worse than that. The fraudulent vote situation in California is so beyond the pale. And yet the Rhino Republicans in the U.S. Senate won't even pass the SAVE Act to prevent stolen elections from happening. Pete, we're governed by a uniparty, and they're not for us.
They're for themselves.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
You know, and that's what people don't. You know, I mean,
the guys like Mitch McConnell and Tom Tillis and Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski will not vote to ensure free and fair elections in the United States.
So John.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
And so my question is, what is attached to that bill?
Nothing.
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 There's nothing.
Nothing. No.
There's nothing.
Nope.
You're sure?
Yep, I'm absolutely positive.
There's not like some bridge to nowhere being built in North Dakota.
And they're using also an excuse. They don't even have the 50 votes because of the 4 wobbly Republicans. But they're saying, well, the filibuster would need to get to 60 anyway. That's false. It's filibuster proof if they run it through reconciliation. They say, oh, we can't run through reconciliation. The parliamentarian won't see that that's something that we can include in the legislation. Then you know what? You hire a parliamentarian that has a correct view of the Constitution and procedural due process. Yes, Pete.
John, so why, if this is such a no-brainer, I mean, I don't care who's ever's listening is a Democrat or Republican,
right.
You would certainly think that everybody in this country who votes, who cares about voting, would say, let's do what we can to prevent fraudulent votes. Let's do what we can. And so
we have dozens of elected members of Congress right now and several senators who did not legitimately win their elections. They're in office based on vote fraud. Categorically, apodictically true.
And so if every Democrat who's listening to us, if I would say to them, you know what do you think about Republicans stealing elections and doing fraudulent voting? I suspect they would not be happy. If you asked Republicans, what do you think about this? I would suspect they wouldn't be happy about fraudulent elections. So since both sides, you would assume, would not be happy about it,
you would think
free
that,
elections,
but
then why do these people who we elect, why do they not do what we would like them to do?
Well, that's a good point. So I served in the Iowa legislature. I was bitterly opposed by every Democrat for working on election laws to make sure that election votes were counted properly and fairly. It was absolutely unbelievable, the opposition.
Why?
Why? Because they know they can't win if they can't cheat. Pete, that's why. So you can't win if you can't win if you can't cheat. In some of these areas, Pete, that is the deal. I'm telling you.
Well, so I had a friend, the mother of one of my boys' really good friends growing up. His mom was running for a state of Iowa House seat, maybe Senate seat, one or two. Her name was Carolyn Wiesrick. And she called me to talk to me about it. Well, I'm a Florida resident, so I can't, it's like I don't vote in Iowa, I vote in Florida. But she called to talk to me about what her thoughts were. And I asked her, I said, so what do you think about voter ID? Well, I think it's wrong. I don't think, she goes, there's a lot of farmers out in the western portion of the state of Iowa who their DMV to get a license is they've got to drive an hour and a half to the closest DMV office. And I'm like, okay, Carolyn, I'm going to ask you this question. How many people don't have an hour and a half to drive down, get it, hour and a half to drive back, sometime in 4 years?
Pete, we have 99 courthouses.
These people also need a valid ID to fly. People need IDs in order to get certain assistance from the government.
They need IDs to buy a can of paint at Walmart.
You need an ID in order to get Sudafed from the pharmacy for a cold.
A can of beer.
So
to get admitted to a ball game in certain venues.
And I said to Carolyn, I said, so why are you for this one? Is that a problem? Is that really a problem? People getting an ID?
There's still 99 courthouses in 99 counties in Iowa. You're within 15 minutes by car.
Well, she said you have to go to a DMV office.
They're in all 99 counties.
And I don't know if that's, but she, after I pointed this out to her, she was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. And it's kind of like, well, so what is wrong? I'm sorry. To maybe common sense isn't that common. Look at Democrats. I've got friends who are Democrats. They're really, really nice people. They're great people. But I think everybody wants there to be, legitimate elections. I mean, of course we're not going to agree on everything, but if you're a nice person, who the hell cares? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I will say this. There may not be a DMV office in every county courthouse in Iowa, but you
What
literally,
about Kansas?
I'm not sure, but I would say this. You need an ID for everything. You need an ID.
How is that? Okay, so how is asking for an ID
Look,
racist?
there's over 100 DMV locations in Iowa, including both state and county offices. There's 99 courthouses. So basically, you've got essentially one DMV location for basically every county in Iowa, which is where I'm
So
from.
why is
Give or
asking
take a
for an
few.
ID? Why do Democrats say asking for an ID is racist?
You know what? All my students at the university have to show an ID.
Why is
You can't
asking for
register
an
for
ID
class.
to vote?
It
Why
isn't.
is asking
It
for an
isn't.
ID racist?
It isn't.
I'm asking, but they say that. I'm asking why.
Well, it isn't. The reason why they don't want an ID is because then you can register all sorts of people that don't exist, or register them dozens and dozens of times. Pete, my opponent in my last election that I won by a landslide 70-30, where I won Democrat, Independent, and Republican voters, was funded by Act Blue, and it's been found now that Act Blue was illegally funneling money to the local races. I was up against Act Blue money, for crying out loud, and I still won. We've got to clean up our elections. And
Nobody
the fraud
will, because the people in charge of making the laws are crooked themselves.
Exactly.
And it's not going to change.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And so it is a shame, but always follow the power, always follow the money. That dictum is true. But and people complain obviously about healthcare costs, but boy, are we getting what we're paying for as taxpayers when you look at the fraud, waste, and abuse. And so what did they do to the guys that were trying to cut out the fraud, waste, and abuse? Whether it's Elon Musk or whether it's that young man,
Nick Shirley?
Yeah. I mean, their lives are being threatened because they're trying to cut off the grifters.
It's just like, okay, all Democrats, okay, all Republicans, okay, all independents.
And I'm a registered independent. I'm a registered independent for our listeners. Yeah.
Anybody who's listening, okay, you have a job, you're paying taxes, you're retired, you got retirement income, your Social Security, you're paying taxes on that. Okay, everybody, I'm going to see a show of hands of people who think that it's okay for the government to be spending money in a poor way or allowing fraudulent spending to occur. Right. Raise your hand if you like fraudulent. Raise your hand if you want your hard-earned money, that taxes that you're paying. Raise your hand if you want it going to fraudulent places like that Leering Center up in Minneapolis that the Somalis had.
Columbus, Ohio. Did you hear Dr. Oz talk about
Columbus, Ohio is
a
mess too. That's a mess.
Oh my goodness! It's just it's simply
but probably and there's fraud in all states.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, John, when I was working, we had people in our practice who would be drawing Medicaid benefits from both Illinois and Iowa. And they would simply go back and forth between Illinois and Iowa in order to take benefits from both states. And it was just like, and there's supposed to be checks and balances, but they knew how to get around them. And it was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Years. I mean, it was like, how is this possible?
Yeah, people of goodwill, if they knew how much they were getting fleeced, it's beyond imagination. But Pete, you know what? We still keep, as good citizens, we stay plugged in. I stay plugged in because of my grandchildren. I want there to be an America for them. And of course, my big thrust as a lawyer is I still want equal justice under law. I want equal protection. That's why I'm in education.
So when you say equal justice under the law, then how many of these politicians out there should no longer be in politics and be in
there
jail?
Should be term limits on everybody. I firmly believe that. I could go into extreme detail why I could make a compelling argument for that. And, that's why I'm in education still, Pete, because that's the great leveler. John Jacobson here with Pete Tinsman. Boomer Takes with Pete and Jake. Catch the podcast on KOFO.com. click podcasts and grab Boomer Takes. We'll be back next week with another adventure. We're like Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, except we're more the, what would you call it? The Nordic. We're the Nordic version.
Are they the Jewish version?
They would be from the Jewish side of the family. Yes, they would be. So we're bringing that Northern European flavor here. And guys, more great programming coming up next. And in the meantime, hey, be safe and smart and good and strong. Teach your kids how to swim and be safe in your boats and stay out of the sun. And God bless us, everyone, till we meet again. Bye-bye.